Today, let's talk about Mazda's bestseller, the CX-5, and understand why Mazda halted the production of its only electric vehicle in the United States after 2 years. Join us to discover how Mazda plans to stand out in the electric vehicle market. Chapter 1: Creation and the End. Perhaps you'll be surprised to learn that Mazda decided to swim against the current of the automotive industry. I'll reveal a detail about the company's future. It chose to exclude the MX-30 from its lineup. That's right, this particular vehicle won't go beyond the model year of 2023 after a brief period of just 2 years in the market. And if you're wondering who the MX-30 is, know that you're not alone. This lack of recognition contributed to Mazda pulling it from circulation. In 2021, only 181 units were sold. The following year, this number increased to 324, but by June of this year, only 66 units found buyers. Certainly, these were not the most glorious days for the automaker. With such low sales, it's not surprising that the MX-30 has been removed from Mazda's portfolio. Surprisingly, it even lasted 2 years on the market, a fact that few expected. It's not a vehicle that will be missed, for sure. But you see, the MX-30 is not a terrible car. In fact, it marked Mazda's history as its first mass electrified vehicle. However, the public perceives it as a limited car with low range and high cost. And those aren't its only problems. It can't compete with others in the market. With a 32 kilowatt-hour battery providing only 100 miles of range and an engine offering 143 horsepower, it falls behind its competitors. Since its launch, there have been several criticisms labeling the MX-30 as unappealing compared to other entry-level electric vehicles. The model was only available in California, limiting its reach. Mazda needed some electrified models to maintain its sales in that state, and so the MX-30 continued, albeit seemingly without apparent justification for its existence. Interestingly, this is the second time the model has been discontinued. Initially, the goal was to sell 560 units, but only 505 were sold, prompting Mazda to suspend the model for a while. With a relaunch in January, the car had a brief comeback, again restricted to California. However, insignificant sales and more disappointments led Mazda to conclude that persisting with the MX-30 in the American market was not worthwhile. Now, with the second cancellation of the MX-30, Mazda finds itself once again out of the electric vehicle niche in the United States. If you imagine the company will try a third time, I would say it's unlikely. Unlike the first discontinuation, this time Mazda officially announced the end. It seems that, this time, the goodbye is final. Chapter 2: The Impact of the Rotary Engine. I know, I mentioned that the MX-30 officially bid farewell. However, it's important to note that this applies only to the United States. Mazda, thinking globally, decided to keep the MX-30 active after the 2023 model year. The company will focus, in particular, on the European and Japanese markets. The plan is to continue sales of the MX-30 REV, which features a Wankel rotary engine to extend its range. When news of the rotary engine's return surfaced, Mazda enthusiasts were ecstatic. However, many are surprised to learn that it would serve as a range extender for the electric model, which has a relatively small battery pack. The REV's battery has half the capacity compared to the fully electric version. This is due to its sleeker design, model compactness, and the intensive use of aluminum. The gasoline engine, with 73 horsepower and 803 cubic centimeters, is 15 kilograms lighter than its predecessor, the four-rotor Renaissance series, discontinued with the RX-8 in 2012. This engine occupies space under the hood, alongside the electric motor responsible for traction. The MX-30R EV supports both standard and fast DC charging. According to the CEO of Mazda North America, it's highly unlikely that the MX-30R EV will be sold in all states. Therefore, if you were anticipating that, you might need to reconsider your expectations. Additionally, the MX-30R EV features a 17.8 kilowatt-hour battery, providing a range of 85 kilometers. With the use of the gasoline engine as an extender, the total range reaches 600 kilometers, considering a full 13.2-gallon tank. To recharge, simply connect it to a DC charging point and wait approximately 25 minutes. It's worth noting that this time is even more superior than the time it takes for a Hyundai Ioniq with an 800-volt battery to charge a battery 4 times larger. However, shortly after announcing the MX-30R EV, Mazda's president brought a different perspective. He questioned the viability of long-range electric vehicles as the ideal future solution. This seems to contradict the actions of other automakers seeking to extend the range of their vehicles, but many consumers may never need more than 483 kilometers of range. Jeffrey Guyton of Mazda believes that the priorities of electric vehicle owners will change over time. The perception that it's easy to charge an electric vehicle at home and the realization that a large daily range is not essential may shift interest to other aspects. Currently, improving charging speed and expanding public charging infrastructure are priorities. This is relevant considering that batteries use limited resources. Opting for smaller batteries makes sense as they are lighter and charge faster. There is no urgent need for large batteries if an electric car with a smaller battery can be rapidly recharged. This is especially true for urban drivers who cover only short distances daily. Finally, in 2022, Mazda North America recorded the sale of 294,908 new vehicles in the United States. This marked an 11% reduction from the previous year. Chapter 3: The Last Prize. If you're wondering about Mazda's top seller in the last year, the award goes to the Mazda CX-5, a compact crossover. This model not only led the brand sales, but also made it to the list of the top 20 best sellers in the United States during the same period. Mazda introduced a new model last year, the CX-50, also a 5-passenger crossover. But it's important to emphasize, the CX-50 did not come to replace the CX-5. At this moment, Mazda sells the CX-5 in approximately 4 times the quantity of the CX-50. What's the main difference between them? The CX-50 is more geared towards off-road adventure, with a more robust construction and a ground clearance of 22 centimeters. Meanwhile, the CX-5, with a distinct architecture, sits 0.7 of an inch closer to the ground. Its drivability and handling stand out for being more agile and refined. The price of the CX-50 is $1,000 above the CX-5, and its dimensions are slightly larger. Regarding technology, the CX-50 offers an advanced connectivity system for Android Auto and Apple CarPlay. These systems operate on the touchscreen even when the vehicle is in motion. However, the screen is positioned in a way that may be challenging to reach for some drivers, even the taller ones. The interior quality of the CX-50 is impressive, including the base models. From comfortable armrests to the leather-like panel covering with contrasting stitching, the feel is one of superior construction. As for cargo space, both in the CX-50 and the CX-5, it's average for the category. The CX-50 has a bit more space with the rear seats up, offering 10 cubic meters compared to the CX-5's 9. The CX-5 excels in terms of capacity when the seats are folded, providing 18 cubic meters with the floor raised or lowered. In contrast, the CX-50, in the turbo version, has 17 cubic meters available and a towing capacity of up to 1,590 kilograms, surpassing the CX-5 versions by 680 kilograms. The fuel efficiency of the CX-5 is 42.5 kilometers per gallon on the highway, compared to the CX-50's 39.48. Both models feature Mazda's 2.5-liter engine with 187 horsepower and 250 pound-feet of torque. Turbocharged versions deliver 227 horsepower and 320 pound-feet of torque. Opting for the turbo in the CX-50 also means larger 51-centimeter tires, which slightly affect driving comfort and do not enhance off-road performance. When it comes to the road, the CX-50 with these tires loses smoothness, and this is more noticeable on uneven terrain. Even with 51-centimeter tires, the Premium Plus version lacks adjustments for specific off-road conditions. In direct comparison, vehicles like the Honda CR-V have an advantage in passenger comfort, among other aspects. And about Mazda's future plans? In one word, electric. The company plans plug-in hybrids like the CX-90 PHEV and the upcoming CX-70 PHEV, along with the standard hybrid CX-50. Mazda is expected to introduce entirely new electric vehicles around 2025. Now, about the MX-30, do you support Mazda's decision to halt its production? Which model do you consider the best ever released by Mazda? And the future strategy, should it focus more on electric vehicles or pursue another direction? Share your opinion below.